Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm hopping along with the I'm not hopping at all. I'm taking part in the Inspire Create challenge, and it is number 114, which is Case the Designer, which was Kate Bolt, and this is the kind of I probably want to explain the process. So what we get given is we get given a design by somebody else, and we get to case it, which means all sorts of things: copy and share everything, copy and selectively edit, copy and share everywhere. I usually take it as a bit of an inspiration, so I didn't look at any measurements. I just looked at what the card style was, and I think hers had actually got two pieces of card that were the same size, paper the same size, and I thought I'd do something. I just change the sizes up on the layers a little bit, and when I'm doing a challenge, I do this. I'll sort of cut it out of scrap card. You can see some of this has got score lines on, and just play around with it till I'm happy with it, and that's the one that I'm doing. So this is what I came up with. So as you can see, I'm using the beautiful waves of the ocean paper, and it's showing the other side of the colours here. So in the waves of the ocean, you can see here it's got a whole range of colours, some beautiful deep blues into Pacific Point and Night of Navy, and on the reverse of these are 12 by 12, and they are taken. If you want to see the canvases, they originally were painted. They're acrylic pours, and that's on the Stampin' Up channel. And you can see on the reverse we've got these lovely kind of coastal cabana, a bit of petal pink in there, some granny apple green in that one. You can see here beautiful sort of shades and white, and then sort of deep calypso coral and petal pink. And I love the papers, not as much as anything because of the sailing holidays we go on, but also because they're that lovely pink and yellow combination that was in the Friends Like Seashells suite when that came out. So you get two each of 12 designs, lots of lovely colours in there. The yellow is actually Daffodil Delight, but when I started to work on this one, I found the Daffodil Delight was just that bit too bright. So I've just toned it down by using the So Saffron, so another shade down. And then you can also get in the limited release these beautiful foils, which are, you can see the horrible reflection of my craft room lights. So you've got Coastal Cabana, Night of Navy, and a lovely silver foil in there as well. So I've just used a little bit of that because I'm always frugal with my foil behind the front there, so that gives a bit of a shine instead of some ribbon. And I actually have embossed this layer, hopefully you can see that, with the beautiful Friends Are Like Seashells 3D embossing folder. Lovely embossing folder that comes with a die as well, and I just thought with those kind of bubbles it just made a lovely effect. And I've stamped the pelican from the Waves of Inspiration stamp set along with the Happy Birthday. So I've kind of done a bit of a hodgepodge of all sorts of things in there. But yeah, so I'm going to use some Coastal Cabana in my other one. So having done the pinks and yellows, I thought I'll go for the blues. So let's get started. So we are going to start off with a standard card base, wherever you are in the world. Let's get your card base. I'm using Pacific Point, and I've taken mine as 29 by 10.5, scored in half at 14.5. I've then taken a layer of basic white, which I've cut at 14 by 10. So if you're working in Imperial, but in the UK, this would be a 5.5 by 3 7/8 piece of card, and your card base would be 11.5 by 4 1/8, scored at 5 3/4. So there's my fun pelican. A funny old bird is a pelican. His beak can hold more than his belly can. But I don't know how the hell he can. A funny old bird is a pelican. So that's my little rhyme that my dad taught me. I used to irritate the family no end with that. Every time we saw a pelican in Australia, out came the rhyme. Did their nut in. So I've just got some Coastal Cabana foil here, and I'm just going to cut that at 0.6 or thereabouts. Oh no, I've done that far too wide. 0.6 would be helpful. That's better. So 0.6. I'll keep that bit for another occasion. Okay, I'm going to want my piece of cardstock for the front just sort of 10.2 by 14.2, so just like 1/8 of an inch smaller. And I'm going to pop that through my embossing folder. So let's grab the Seashells embossing. So this is a 3D embossing folder. It's one of these really thick ones. So you just want to make sure you get your sandwich right. Don't force it. Just pop that in the middle there. Now with mine, I use a sandwich because I've got an older big shot up here. So this is just my standard platform and the 3D blue plate that Stampin' Up did, and that just goes through. And say, just remember that you just put it through, and say, don't force it. If ever you feel you're having to force your big shot, stop, because it probably means the sandwich is wrong. It should go through quite easily, and then come out with this beautiful embossed panel like that, which, as you can see, absolutely gorgeous. What you we'll also want to do is do a bit of die cutting. Now for the die cut, it's been clattering away in the background. I'm going to use the one that comes in the Waves of Inspiration. So in that Waves of Inspiration stamp set, if you get the coordinating dies, it has got some fabulous little tags, which is the one that I've used on the front there. So it's this one here that I've cut out, and there are two sizes of those. The first, the one I'm using, the narrow one, fits with that lovely happy birthday sentiment that I've got here, and then the wider one fits the other sentiments that are in the stamp set as well, which I've put down and covered up. So there we go. So these two here are totally awesome, and Your Strength is an Inspiration. They fit this larger label that we've got here as well. Lovely stamp set, well worth getting. Now to flag the ends of this, I've actually used my punch. I'm just using my Banners picker punch to do those. You don't have to, because obviously you can just do these using using your scissors, but I quite like the shallower end that this gives. So this piece is 4 inches wide, so 10 centimetres, and I'm just popping that in there, and that will just poke out on each side of that. So Banners picker punch, really useful if you know, if you've got one. But before we're going to stamp on that before we actually do any die cutting, and I think I'm actually going to use my Pacific Point on that. I think it needs a slightly darker colour. Just going to reach in for that. It's probably casting lots of shadows, wittering on as usual. So just Pacific Point, tap tap tap, and then I'm just going to hover over there, and hopefully, not bad, not bad for it being on camera. And then all I do is again, this is why it sort of suits a piece of ribbon. I'm just going to feed that through the back there. I think I might have actually put some double-sided, because I was going to use, well, I will be using these to do the waves as well. I've actually already added some adhesive sheet on the back there. So it just means popping that through and just eyeballing it till it's about right. Okay, and then popping some dimensionals on as well. I wouldn't normally put self-adhesive sheet on the back of a little strip like that for this purpose, but obviously because I've already got a piece cut, so I can pop that to one side. While I'm thinking about adhesive, I'm going to pop a little adhesive on the inside layer for my card as well. Just pop that in there. Gosh, I'm making a right pig's ear of that. Right. There we go. And then do the same. And I do tend to use wet glue on the back of an embossed panel, particularly these 3D ones, because obviously you don't want to squash it down with a tape runner, but you just want to get that lovely, those lovely shells. I mean, obviously they are sort of covered up, but it just gives a nice bit of texture on there as well. And the Pacific Point with that Coastal Cabana I think is beautiful. So for the layers themselves, I want a couple of pieces of card and I want a couple of pieces of DSP. So I'm going to take this, and my DSP is going to be, I'm going to do one that's 5 by 12. I'm going to keep the deeper one at the back, in the back. So this one I'm going to do on the front. So just cut that at 5 centimetres and trim that down to 12. And then this other one is 6.5 by 12.5. So I'm going to take the deeper side, 6.5 by 12.5. And these scraps will be used for all sorts of bits and pieces. And so I just need a couple of pieces of my Coastal Cabana and my Bermuda Bay, not even Bermuda Bay, my Pacific Point. So a bit of Pacific Point there. So I'm going to keep the Pacific Point as the back colour. So this one's going to be 12.8 by 6.8. That's going to layer up on that darker one, and then that lighter one is going to be 5.3 by 12.3. Hopefully I've picked a big enough scrap, yes. There we go. And the reason I've layered these is twofold really. One, I wanted to kind of make them stand out. If you have a look, this is what I do when I do my layers. It looks lovely with those layers on, but you kind of lose a little bit of definition. And I'm just running my bone folder over that edge because I've obviously cut it on the other side before, so I got a slightly raised edge. So I'm just going to, I've just pushed that down. But by adding the colour, it strengthens the DSP, which will enable me to pop it up on some dimensionals to add a bit of interest. And it just frames, gives a nice edge to that DSP there, as you can see. Just have to help you take the lid off, doesn't it? There we go, just pop that in there. And pop it on there. So, and I've deliberately chosen a very narrow border as well on these, because I don't want stuff to be too overbearing either. And so all I'm doing is just adding some adhesive onto the back of my larger piece, and that's going to fit just, as you can see, diagonally on there, so that all four corners can meet the edge. Pop some dimensionals on the back of my smaller panel, and you know me, usually one in each corner, one in the middle. Because this is the long skinny one, I'm putting just 3 down each side. And then that one can go again diagonally across. Then all that remains is for us to pop our happy birthday up on dimensionals as well. Have a look, make sure it's straight. And there we have a pair of cards, Case the Designer, one in our Petal Pink and So Saffron, one in our Coastal Cabana and Pacific Point, both using a little bit of foil to add some interest, And there was our kind of basic, it's almost like I turn it into a sketch. So which one do you think? Which team pink, team blue? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon. And if you'd like to purchase any of the products you've seen today, just pop along to my blog at flutterbyheidi.co.uk, or if you click on the down arrow below this video, you'll find links to products in there as well. Thanks for watching. Bye now.